What is going on, everybody? Today we are reviewing Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos. Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist, author, and professor at the University of Toronto. 12 Rules for Life is Jordan's second book after a much more philosophical and deep and very long book called Maps for Meaning. As is suggested in the title, Jordan Peterson's 12 rules outline principles for life that allow you to still live your life well even when you are confronted by chaos. Jordan talks about two types of chaos. You have negative chaos, which is when you lose your job or your wife is suddenly cheating on you. It's when the normal order of your life is suddenly destroyed and cast apart. But then there's also the positive side of chaos, that when the order is broken up, you have the opportunity to take on that chaos and create something good and something better out of it and actually move on to a better place in your life. So in the 12 rules, Jordan outlines a set of principles that allows you to live your life in a way so that when chaos manifests itself in your life, you are able to strive through it and to not only survive this difficult time, but to rise up and thrive in this difficult time. I think his words are even more necessary now as we are dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic, because this is the manifestation of chaos on Earth for everyone. Without further ado, let's dive in. Rule 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. When you physically set yourself in a posture with your shoulders back and you face your problems, this has a physical effect in your body that releases more serotonin and reduces the cortisol. And this makes you more confident. So when you act in this way physically, you will increase your confidence and therefore increase your competence and your success. Even more so than the actual physical action of standing up straight, there is the mental action of facing your problems directly on and taking them on. And when you do this, you face your problems at their weakest. So by going out and finding whatever your problem is and taking it on now, you do not allow it time to grow. See, when you ignore your problems, they are everything. But by physically defining them, they might be dangerous and scary, but when you haven't defined them yet, they're everything. They're all danger. But by defining it, pointing it out, realizing that it's a problem, you put it in its own little box. And by putting your problems in a box, you can then go out and take on those problems. But the longer you wait, the more dangerous and powerful those problems become. Jordan gives the very powerful example of Nazi soldiers in Germany. You would be willing to bet that the normal people in Germany who were enlisted into the army were not all evil, but yet they pretty much all did purely evil, terrible things. But by never standing up and saying no in the very beginning, they were weakened and the corruption was made worse. And over time, steadily, every time they didn't say no, they became less powerful and less able to say no. This is a metaphor and a real-life example for how our own problems grow when you don't face them. But by standing up and facing them, you have the best ability to destroy them and to move forward in your life. Rule number 2. Treat yourself like someone you're responsible for taking care of. Oftentimes, people will not take care of themselves as well as they will take care of a pet or a sick family member who is in their charge. And this is very interesting, but it comes down to two purposes generally. The first reason can have to do with self-hatred. For some reason, you genuinely don't think that you deserve these good things, and so subconsciously, you will subvert your own efforts to grow and to become better by, in the example that Jordan uses, not taking your own medicine. But when you're caring for yourself like you would care for another individual, you don't only do what is easy and what is good in the moment. You strive to do what will produce the most good over the long term. So you figure out goals for yourself, and then you work towards actions and completing actions in the moment that are meaningful and will drive you towards that goal. And yes, of course, you give yourself a certain amount of enjoyment in the moment. And the idea is that you're actually kind of negotiating with a future self. And so you say, oh, future self, if I do this now, then you will be better off. And this is one of those unique human abilities to personify the future. You imagine the future that you want, and then you try to do in the moment what will lead you to that better future. The drawback of this is that there's less pleasure in the moment, because if you're taking care of someone, and let's say they don't want to exercise, or you're taking care of your dog and he doesn't want to take the pill. You always know feeding the pill to the dogs hate it, so you hide it in something nice. And when you treat yourself like that, you go, oh, I need to exercise. Well, if I go on a run, then I can sit on the couch and watch the show that I really want to watch, and I won't feel bad about it. So you actually get more enjoyment out of the good activities, but you're also able to do the things that will produce goodness, health, or whatever it is in your life. Rule number 3 is to make friends with people who want the best for you. This again sounds super stereotypical on the surface. You are the average of the 5 people you hang around with, or whatever quote you want to insert about friends being very important. Everyone knows this. But Jordan brings up the idea that humans don't enjoy being around people who are better than them. So if your friend group, if you're trying to do something difficult, and he uses the example of alcoholism, you're trying to get off alcohol, and all your friends are alcoholics, not only are they going to naturally think, well, it's not that bad to be an alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic, I'm not a terrible person, right? So as you try to rise above this alcoholism, they will actually pull you back down because they don't want you to show them their weakness. So you have to actually swallow your pride and find a group of friends that will not only want the best for you, but are better than you in some situations. And it's tough. It really is. He uses the quote, it's difficult to stand up around someone who is better than you. Because when someone is better than you, and you show your full self to them, and that's weak, and that's wrong, and they're better, you feel that difference. You feel that delta, that, I need to get better. But it does push you to be better. And there's kind of a tension. So if your friends are here, there's a tension to rise up. And if your friends are below you, there's a tension to be pulled back down. So choosing your friends is incredibly, incredibly important. And more so than your friend's position, it is important to pick friends who have the mindset of growth, the mindset of it's good when you get better and it's good when I get better. So we will rise together like a tidal wave. Now we're on to rule number 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. This again, this rule is something that is very personal to me, or for 2 instances. First is with my finances, and with the advent of social media, I believe that it's very easy to compare yourself to the absolute best. You're always going to find someone who's better than you. You look on Instagram, and you can find someone who's 21 or 22 who's already a millionaire. I'm like, wow, I'm not there in my life, what am I doing? And then the second is with fitness. I can find someone, David Lade, for example, is a Gymshark athlete. David Lade is less than 6 months older than me, and yet he has made an entire living and career and is super famous from being, in amazing shape. And so if I compare myself to those people, I will feel worse. And this falls back to the cortisol and the serotonin from the first law, that I will actually begin to feel worse and feel myself fall down in the value hierarchy because I'm not as good as some of these other people. But by comparing myself to who I was yesterday, I set up my own personal hierarchy of this is my goal, and now I'm comparing myself to who I was yesterday, and now I'm better, and I can grow. And this also is a driver for action, because when you compare yourself to someone who's better than you, you're going to be more likely to be depressed. But if you compare yourself to who you were yesterday, and you point out, well, if I can do this and this, then I will be better, and you create these, I was here, then I was here, then I was here, now I'm here, well, look where I could go. And this brings out a lot more optimism and hope and a drive to continue to be better. While at the same time, it drastically cuts down on the self-hatred and the self-loathing that comes with comparison with others. Rule number 5 is don't let your children do anything that makes you hate them. This kind of sounds odd. Hate your children? What? No one should hate their children. But what Jordan points out is how parents who let their children get away with everything and do whatever they want, they actually create these monsters, these selfish monsters who don't know how to share and are genuinely bad kids. I mean, we've all seen it, the kid who's throwing a fit in Walmart and the parents can't control them. And so by disciplining your children early on, whether through that's positive or negative reinforcement, you create well-socialized, good individuals that people want to be around. And so you're able to act as a proxy for the world, or a slightly different, nicer, sweeter, more forgiving version of the real world. But you still incorporate those aspects that are difficult, that are hard, like punishment and learning how to share and teaching your child not to be super selfish. And when you do this, when you do, you make your child someone that you enjoy to be around, other people enjoy to be around them, and they have an indescribably better life. Rule number 6, set your house in perfect order before criticizing the world. This goes back to the biblical verse, which Jordan references, of take this log out of your own eye before you criticize the speck in your neighbor's eye. And the idea is that Jordan presents is, who are you to criticize the world if you can't keep your own stuff together? Firstly, if you try and criticize the world while you yourself are still weak and still have your own problems, you won't be taken seriously, and you'll just be knocked down, and you'll gain more self-hatred and more self-loathing, and you'll be like, the system sucks. Secondly, and more profoundly, when you really dive into yourself, you find out what you want, and you go through the process of creating your perfect self, moving closer to the image of God. You actually learn the process for creation, and you learn the process that will allow you to fix the world. There's a reason that people don't take you seriously if you haven't fixed yourself. You haven't cleaned up your house, you haven't taken control of your household, and the household is a metaphor for yourself. If you haven't taken control of yourself, you won't know how to take control of and fix the world. If you can't fix yourself, you won't be able to fix the world. Rule number 7 is pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Jordan starts out this section by presenting the question of, if life is short and pointless, why don't we just live in the moment and enjoy what we have and party it up until we die? And Jordan points out that although that may be fun for a few fleeting moments, that you lack meaning. And when your life lacks meaning and purpose, you are living in a fancy hell. You could be incredibly rich and incredibly famous, but if you don't have any purpose, any reason, you look at Brad Pitt. He talks about how he was struggling with alcoholism because he didn't feel like he had any purpose. So by instead pursuing what is meaningful, you look in yourself and you say, what do I really want? What do I care about? What's important to me? And then you use that why to create a goal, and you strive after that goal with all your strength, but you focus on what you can do in the moment, not to be happy, not to enjoy the moment, which you do enjoy the moment, but what you can do to further the world and further yourself towards that worthy goal. You actually lead a much more meaningful, happy, and fulfilled life than if you're just off partying. It's the idea of taking up your own cross and, bearing your own problems, bearing the problems of the world, and moving towards what is great. And that is how people have survived the Holocaust and gone through the Holocaust and gone through, true hell on earth. And yet they were happy and they were content because they were leading a meaningful life. When you look at the people in the Holocaust who helped out others and, who gave even the little tiny bits of food and stuff they had, they did far better. They survived. So this rule can seem quite counterintuitive, but pursuing grand, lofty goals not only will lead you to be more successful, but you will be more happy and lead a more fulfilled life in the moment on the way towards those goals. Rule number 8 is to tell the truth, or at least don't lie. I found this one very interesting because you're always told, don't lie. Your mom told you not to lie. And the general reason was because you're not supposed to lie. Or at best, you want to have good character. You want people to believe what you say. And then maybe if you had good parents, they were like, those lies will always come to bite you in the ass. Jordan presents a very interesting idea that when you're lying, you're actually warping the structure of reality. You're saying, this imaginary world that I've created in my mind is better than the real world. And who are you to do that? Jordan kind of asks, who are you to break reality and create your own reality by these lies? And when you do that, you kind of create this monster that will always come back for you. We all know the different stories and different examples of how lies have built up and they've built up and they've built up. I'm watching Cheers with my dad, and one of the main characters, Sam Malone, will do something stupid, and then he'll lie and he'll cover it up and he'll lie, and the next thing you know, it all comes crashing down on him as he's put himself in a ridiculous situation. And even though it is comedy, and so that's played out to be ridiculous, it's very true, and it is something that manifests itself in all of our lives. But the other idea is to not lie to yourself. So learn to, when you tell yourself you're going to do something, you do it, because that creates this belief in yourself. We're not really just one person. We are, of course, but we have different internal dialogues. And so that strong part of your mind that says, I'm not going to eat ice cream today, when you actually do that, the rest of your body and the rest of your mind learns, well, when he says something, we're going to do it. So the next day you say, I'm going to go to the gym. You go to the gym and they're like, he means what he's saying. And so while it's kind of a weird idea to think about yourself like that, when you do that, you create an internal cohesion that allows you to move through life more easily and more directly and with more purpose. Rule number 9 is assume the person you are listening to knows something that you do not. Of course, this is a command to learn everything you can from everyone you're around. But it's also a command to, when you're in a conversation with someone, to strive to get it right, not to strive to be right. And something I've noticed as I've learned more about listening is that most people focus on either having a more interesting story than whoever just spoke in an attempt to push themselves up the value hierarchy of this conversation, or they're just creating their own defense for their argument to prove why the other person is wrong, or they are simply giving advice because they want the other person to shut up. But when you actually listen to someone, you figure out what they have to say. First, you learn what their problem is. So you're in an argument with someone and they have some kind of problem. First, you have to find out what that problem is. Oftentimes, conversation is used to discover those problems. So you listen to someone for a while and they actually use that talking to you to figure out what their problem is. So now you both know what the problem is, and then you have to actually think not what would be best for me, but what would be best for them. And by the end of this process, you've come up with a solution that actually helps them, actually changes their lives, and they're gratefully indebted to you. All throughout history, you can find examples of people who were just stellar listeners, and they were drastically rewarded just for listening well. And of course, when you're listening, you're always learning. You're learning not only the information that this person is giving out, but you're learning what makes that person tick. And so if you end up needing something from them, or you end up getting in a negotiation, especially if this is a long-term relationship, learning what makes them happy and what makes them tick will always make the relationship, the conversation, the negotiation far, far better. Rule number 10 is be precise in your speech. This is similar to telling the truth, but more along the lines of precisely defining what you want, both to yourself and to the world. So first you tell yourself, what do I want? What do I want from the day? What do I want from this conversation? And you define those goals, and then you make those goals clear to other people. That way, once you've made these goals clear, you're able to pursue them in a direct, serious manner. And you now know for certain whether the people around you are kind of for you or against you, right? Because if you didn't make your goals clear, you have a relationship with someone and you want something, but you don't really tell them, you just kind of hint at it or whatever, and they don't follow through, they don't help you out. They may have figured out what you wanted and they may be nasty and mean and are just attacking you and trying to hurt you, but they might just be oblivious. They might not understand what you really want. And so by being precise in your speech, not only do you set goals for yourself that you're able to go after more linearly, and you're much more, again, internally cohesive, but you're able to actually find out who your real friends are. Because once you make your goals clear, nobody has an excuse to be against you. And if they do, you can cut them out of your life. Rule number 11 is do not bother children when they are skateboarding. This goes along the idea of not overprotecting and over-coddling people. So you've got children who are skateboarding, they're doing something difficult, something dangerous, and they're basically learning how to function in the world. They're reaching into the edges of chaos, and they're creating some order out of it. You do this jump over and over and over, and eventually you master it. It's now orderly, it's now easy, it's now normal. By stopping those children from skateboarding, creating rules for their safety or for whatever reason, you're impeding that natural exploratory process. Now, this is not saying that you do not have rules, because rules are very important, but within those rules, you should have a fair amount of exploration and ability to do your best. And so by creating rules where exploration and conflict is not allowed, you never allow the person to grow and to master whatever they're attempting to work on. Of course, this is the same for yourself. You do not set these, rules on yourself so that you can never fail at something. You have to allow yourself to do difficult things and to possibly fail. Oftentimes, these rules are also set to kind of curb aggression, because for some reason in the West, we feel that all aggression, especially this, toxic masculinity, is bad. But that when that aggression is correctly socialized and correctly fueled towards goals. That is the drive and the ambition that has created all of the great things that we have today. And oftentimes children who are, not the most agreeable when they're young, as they begin to socialize that and utilize that disagreeability as adults, they are far more successful, and they create things that bring up the whole society together. And finally, rule number 12 is to pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And in this section, Jordan talks about suffering. He gives the example of his daughter who had early onset arthritis. Basically, when she was 7 years old, she had to start getting joints replaced, and she really went through hell for a very, very long time and continues to struggle with the problem even today as a young adult. And Jordan points out that when you're in a situation like this, you have to, yes, you set your goal and you set whatever it is to get out of this difficult situation, and you work every day towards that. Do what you can in the moment to become better and to strive to get out, to get through this hell. But you also have to take the little good things that come. And so when you meet a cat on the street and it allows you to pet it, go up and pet it and take a 30-second little break and be happy that this little animal has offered you some of its time. So of course, petting a cat comes in many different varieties, whether it's, a cup of coffee before you start a difficult day, or, it's just a breath of fresh air as you walk from your difficult office job to your long commute home, to just enjoy whatever little moments come along the way in your journey to success. Because oftentimes, and actually always, our journeys at some points will lead through little individual hells. And to get through that difficult time, not only strive to get out of it, but remember that there's always good. We are still here on earth, and we are not in any kind of real physical hell with the devil, so there is good. There's always good. And have a spirit that's attuned to the goodness in the world, because you will be happier, and you will be more successful, because you will be able to more quickly move out of the darkness. So for the key takeaways and the review. Review first, 10 out of 10. This is my favorite book. I read it first 2 years ago, reread part of it, and then reread the full thing again today. Well, not today. Reread the full thing again over the past couple weeks for this review. I love the book. I love the rules. They've personally shaped a lot of my life and definitely shaped the way that I think about the world. It's an incredibly great book. 10 out of 10 read. The lessons are, 12 out of 10. As far as the key takeaways, the rules in themselves are takeaways, but I would also say the main takeaway is to take responsibility for your life. If you had to sum up Jordan's message in one sentence, it is take responsibility. Your life is yours to live and yours alone. Now, it's not saying don't take advice, but take responsibility for your life. I would recommend that you guys check out everything Jordan Peterson. He has a website, he has 2 books, and a ton of information on YouTube. Jordan is one of my absolutely favorite authors. Honestly, if I could meet one person and have dinner with them, it would be Jordan Peterson. He is one of the most impactful and groundbreaking thinkers of our time. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. And always remember, reading is knowledge, knowledge is power, so reading is power. Have a wonderful day. Oh, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends, and go read some Jordan Peterson. Thanks. Bye.